All the way from the start, I can feel it in my heart, like all the way from the start. Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you had a great holiday and are gearing up for a big 2017. Got a new tutorial for you all today, and it is the top 5 beginner mastering mistakes. So these are the mistakes I hear most often, and they can really mess up a mix in a hurry if you're not careful. So let's jump in, and I'm going to let you hear this song that I mastered not too long ago, just so you can get a feel for the material. And this is the final master. And then I'm going to talk about these very common mixing mistakes and demonstrate what happens when we do make these mistakes so that you can avoid them in your own sessions. So let me go ahead and play this back for you.
Just got through a whole week of the hustle. I am nowhere near the end of my struggle. Tonight I get faded, I'm feeling just great, yeah. Through all of the bullshit, I still got the smile on my face. I'm feeling good tonight. I'm feeling good, oh baby. I'm feeling good tonight. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good tonight. No question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, ooh, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that make these voices subside.
All right, so that gives you an idea of the material we're working with. The song is by an artist out of Brooklyn, New York named Rich Moves. I produced the track as well. I did not mix it, but I did obviously do the mastering. So let's go ahead and talk about the first most common mastering mistake for beginners, and that is using the wrong limiter. So a lot of people, I think, have the common misconception that all limiters are created equally. I've talked about this a little bit in some of my other videos, but your master limiter is going to affect the transients differently in any kind of material. So whether it's a rock song or a hip hop song, the limiter is going to affect things differently, and it's going to make your dynamics sound different depending on the limiter. So you have to try out a couple of different limiters and see what works best on the material. So in this case, I chose the Slate Digital, which you just heard that. Now let me put something like, let's say, the L2, which is a pretty common master limiter. And let's just hear how that sounds different, or how it differentiates from the Slate.
No question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, ooh, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that make these voices subside. I pay a little visit to my boo thing. She know my true colors like a moon ring. We don't tie each other down like shoestrings. I get the pussy, then I'm out to do a few things. Gazing out the sunroof, my system on blast.
So that is a very similar RMS level in terms of when I brought down the threshold, just getting it to the same point that I had with the Slate. And you can hear the low end just sounds a little bit kind of muddy to me, has a little bit more of a glued sound. So I'm not saying that I don't like the L2. I'm just saying I don't like it on this particular song and for this particular master. So again, they're all going to work differently, and you've got to be able to use your ears and figure out which one sounds the best for this specific material or your specific session. So let me go back to the Slate, and I'll just play that back for you real quick.
No question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, ooh, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that make these voices subside.
The kick's a lot punchier, transients are a lot cleaner. So that's why I selected that one. And again, we could go through and you could pick something like the FabFilter Pro L, whatever master limiters you have in your toolbox, try all of them and make sure that you've got the best one for that session. Let's talk about the second most common mastering mistake for beginners, and that is dealing with issues in the width or with phase, adjusting your stereo field. That tends to be a problematic area for those who are not as familiar with mastering. Obviously, we want our master to be as wide as possible. We want it to be exciting, but you have to be very careful because if we go too wide, we introduce phasing issues, and you're going to want to be checking your masters in mono. This is important for a number of reasons, mainly for playback systems like a TV, or even if you're in the club and somebody is standing in front of one speaker, they're going to be getting more of a mono experience. So you want to make sure that your masters sound good and you're not dealing with things that actually disappear. If you've never experienced this, I'll just tell you that if you put something out of phase or if you try to spread something out too much in your mix, sometimes you'll hit mono and literally you can't hear it in stereo because it cancels out the phase. So that's why you want to check stuff like that. Make sure you're not introducing any problematic areas. Now, if you want to be able to check mono and you don't have, like for my case, I have a mono button on the total mix, so I can just hit mono and it will mono all of the signal coming out of my headphones or my speakers or whatever. But if you don't have that, you can just use a gain plugin or any of the other plugins in whatever DAW you're using, and just use this mono switch. Have it in the last insert of your master chain, and just flick that on occasionally while you're messing with the stereo width to make sure that you're not, again, introducing phase issues. So let me open up what I used for stereo width in this master, and that was Ozone. I like the imaging option with Ozone, so let me turn that off, and I'll let you hear it without it.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling,
and this is with.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that makes these.
So it's subtle, but it's just adding some width. Now, a lot of you, or well, a lot of the ones that I hear tend to be more like this. You just go and you just turn all these up.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high.
And it doesn't sound as good. Let's even turn on mono after we do that and see what happens.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that makes these voices subside. I pay a little bit.
So luckily, Ozone and the imaging there, it's not introducing any really serious phase issues when we increase that width that much, but it just sounds a little funky. Once we start turning things too far up, it just is not pleasant. Now, low end, we can reduce the width of this stuff because, again, you don't hear bass in stereo necessarily, or the sub bass. We want that to be kind of anchored to the center. So if you want to reduce the stereo width of the sub, that's always a good idea. So we can take that down.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that makes these voices subside. I pay a little.
So a lot of times what I'll hear is mixes that come to me and they are just too narrow. There's not enough width. So again, using something like Ozone or a plugin like Waves Vitamin, you can increase the stereo field and just make it sound more exciting. But again, just keep that in check because you can overdo it very easily. All right, so next on the list of most common mastering mistakes with beginners is adding reverb to your master. Now, a lot of our mastering processors like Ozone or many others, they include a reverb chain. Now, I know a lot of mastering engineers have some kind of reverb, a light reverb that they may add to material that may sound just too dry or may just need a touch of space. But you've got to be really careful with this because it can destroy the sound very quickly. Let me just show you what I'm talking about when I turn this reverb on.
Tonight, no question, I'm feeling the good vibes. Couple hits, I'm taking a good high. I love the feeling, I can't lie. Cause that's the only thing that makes these voices subside.
I have no idea why you would want to put that much reverb, especially a hall reverb of all things, onto your master. Now, again, if you're working in television or post-production, that's a different story. But with music, we don't want to add a lot of reverb to the full mix. We can hear we're adding reverb to the low end, and I'm sure we can EQ this stuff. But again, if you're using reverb properly in your mix, you shouldn't be adding reverb in the master. I would say 99% of the time, I would not touch this. I've probably only used reverb on the master a handful of times. Again, if it's just too dry and I'm trying to add a little bit of space maybe to the vocal or the top end, we could EQ it and use it that way. But otherwise, if you're a beginner and you're just getting used to mastering, steer clear of the reverb. Number 4 on the list of most common mastering mistakes is adding too much low end, just making the low end too boomy, too muddy, and it just doesn't sound pleasant at all. And it's the first sign that you've got an unprofessional mix or master is when the low end is just overpowering. So usually what will happen is, in this case, I was using a little bit of the Puig Tech or the Pultec. It's an emulation of the Pultec. I was boosting the low end down here about 60 hertz, and it just adds a pleasant kind of feel to the sub.
I just got through a whole week of the hustle.
Obviously, you've got a really heavy 808, so I just wanted that to be very present, and the client wanted it to be, just hitting hard. But if I go and I increase that, let's say to about twice as much a boost,
I just got through a whole week of the hustle. I am no
way too much. We can hear some distortion. We're pushing our master limiter really hard, and it's just not pleasant. So that didn't even seem like that much of a difference. But again, not using your ears, you can really mess up the low end quickly. So just be careful how much low end you're adding. If you want to make sure that you're in the ballpark, keep an eye on your RMS or your LUFS, whichever metering standard you use. You can watch those figures just to get a better idea. And more than anything, if you have speakers, listen to the low end, how it feels. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using headphones with the low end. Again, I'm just using them for demonstration now, but just see how the low end resonates in a room and how it feels in front of you. All right, y'all. So the last mastering mistake that I wanted to cover is just pushing your limiter too hard, having the volume of the mix too loud. And therefore, once you go into the limiter, it's having to work really hard, and you might have some peaking, some not pleasant distortion happening. Now, if we see what we're looking at here in terms of the mix that was sent to me, we're at a nice level, and I have headroom to work with going into our master limiter, which that's the ideal situation. Is we want it to have a little bit of headroom so it's not having to overwork itself. Now let's just say that our mix was, 6 dB louder than it is now. Let's just turn that up. So let's say it arrived to me like that, and we really don't have any headroom. Let's see how that affects our limiter.
I just got through a whole week of the hustle. I am nowhere near the end of my struggle. Tonight I get faded, I'm feeling just great, yeah. Through all of the bullshit, I still got the smile on my.
So even when I turn the gain down and bring it back to a relative RMS level that's close to what the final master was, it's still not as clean. Some distortion happening. We've got some clipping over here, which in the master, we want to steer clear of that. And so it's just never a good idea to not have any headroom at all. So my recommendation is when you finish your mix, just make sure that you've got some room to work with, because that's going to make the mastering job a lot easier. And again, the master limiter is going to be able to deal with your transients and your dynamics a lot easier if you have that headroom. So anyways, y'all, that is the top 5 mastering mistakes that I hear from most beginners. And hopefully you can identify these early on in your sessions. And I guarantee you it will give you a much more professional, clean, impactful sound on your masters. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, and we'll talk to you soon.